Hi everyone, I'm Jordan and welcome to the Dance Space. Today I'll be talking about some tips for teaching preschool and kindergarten dance classes. So if this topic interests you, please keep watching. Alright, so I'm surrounded by a bunch of props here that I use in my preschool and kindergarten dance classes. So I thought I would just film this video with all of these items and discuss some tips that I use for teaching those classes. So my first tip is to keep it creative. So like I said, I've got all these different pieces of stuff that I use in class. So first I have these scarves. I'm sure everyone knows about the scarves, but the kids love to play with these. So I will use these for freestyle dance. I'll throw around some usually Frozen music and or other Disney stuff, and they will just dance with these scarves, and it increases kind of their level of creativity within dance, and they love having scarves in their hands. Sometimes I use these scarves for ballet time if they can behave. Sometimes they wrap them around their neck and do other crazy stuff with them, but sometimes I'll let them use them for ballet time just as a little special, and we'll do pliés with them. Again, it's a special privilege. We don't do this every week because they take advantage of it. So sometimes I'll use those for those reasons, and then also I will have them dance around across the floor with them sometimes as well. Usually I have a line leader for the day, so that person gets to pick their color. Everybody else gets whatever color I hand them. Usually they like to fight over them otherwise. Some other creative props I have are these racks that we set up. So we sometimes, there's different levels. So some of them are bigger. This one is really big. So we set them up into a line or in a circle, and they do really well with these because they'll hop them, or sometimes they'll just kind of walk them or do some fancy stuff on them. But it's really good for balance, and it's just something that they really enjoy doing. So I'll try to do this at the end of class. Typically I do one different exercise, I guess. I don't want to call it a game. At the end, one or two, depending on time and depending on what it is. If we're doing a balancing activity, I sometimes will end with a scarf dance or vice versa, that kind of thing. Another one that we have is really awesome. It's our alligator. And by the way, these are from the company Replay. So they're just, and you can find stuff like this online anywhere. These are the alligator walking little balance beam we've got. So it goes up and down. This one's really good because it's got a nice grip, whereas some other stuff can be like really slippery. So we have several balance beams, but this one is a favorite. I use this for our animal day so that they don't wake the alligator up and they walk around or hop on them. And yeah, it keeps them quiet too, and they work on holding their tummy muscles in. So keeping things creative is really important. That's like my first most important tip. And a couple other really fun games are putting some hula hoops in a circle and kind of playing like musical chairs with it. They'll dance around. When the music stops, they'll go find a hula hoop. I don't take hula hoops out of the circle, though. I always keep everybody still dancing so that we're still moving the entire time. So that's another fun activity you can do. A few others are animal action from, I believe it is there's like toddler music. You can find it on Apple Music or really anywhere, I think. Those are really fun for the kids. It has everything already set up. Anything that is like action music is perfect because it has directions in the song, so you don't really have to keep directing, and it helps them listen and focus on learning and listening. It's not just your voice all the time. So animal action is really fun for them. And the freeze dance, that's also on Apple iTunes you can find, or probably Spotify. And so the freeze dance, or you can do your own freeze dance by freezing the music and then they have to freeze. Another way to ramp up that game is to have them freeze into Disney characters. So that day could be Frozen or Moana. It's always really fun to kind of switch scenes up for them. So that is always a good idea for creative games. And then I also have another game here. is, well, we have the puddle, and I think everyone knows what the puddle is. It's just that blue puddle that they can leap over. Yeah, we do that quite a bit, but that doesn't take very long, so I do that with another activity like a balance beam. Then I have the bean bags. So this, we can do multiple things with it. There's a beanbag dance song. It's, again, like you can find it on Apple iTunes or Spotify. There's several different versions, so I'll use different ones. But you hold your beanbag and you dance around with it, and it gives you directions, and just really works on some hand and eye coordination, that kind of thing, and listening again to directions. So that's really fun, as well as I take them in a circle. We'll grab one beanbag and we pass the movement. So I'll pick a movement first, something like, usually it's plies, then I'll throw it to somebody else and I'll call their name, and then they'll dance with it, and they pick the movement that we do, and then the whole class does it in our circle. So we keep going until everyone is finished. Usually it takes about 2 songs to complete this, depending on how many kids are in your class. So that is another activity. So that is all part of my first tips of keeping class creative. My second tip is to kind of play off of some themes. So this kind of goes with our first tip of being creative, but themes are really fun for kids. So sometimes I'll do Disney Prince and Princess Day. You'd be surprised at how many parents have outfits for their kids. They'll come up in full princess get-ups, so it's really fun for them. Most of them love like Frozen right now, so I play Frozen 1 and Frozen 2 soundtracks. Lots of good music in there. And maybe Moana Day or Sea Day, so kind of play everything up that you're doing that class period with that theme. Another theme is like Christmas time is great. You can just play lots of fun Christmas music and do some Christmas games with them. All kinds of stuff with that. And I've also done Valentine's Day, so we'll maybe bake like a cake while we're stretching. So we'll have like our feet here, and we'll place our bowl in front of us and start mixing, and we bake a cake or cookies for Valentine's Day. That's always a fun thing. Another theme we like to do is Animal Day, like I said. So we have the alligator right here, and then we do animal stretches, which I can show you in a bit. So those are really fun to just play up themes and kind of do some fun stuff like that. So that is my second tip, is starting some themes for class. My third tip is, so now we're getting into kind of more structurization, is to keep things structured and moving quickly. So they're preschool and kindergarten, so they like to have that structure of knowing when everything is going. So typically I will have a pretty easy warm-up just to a fun song. Right now I'm doing Trolls. That's a good album for kids. And so we'll do a warm-up, like we're just jumping around, having some fun. It's really like low-key. It's not really any serious technique, but it's fun. We will do that first, and then we'll move on to stretching. So each week I'll switch things up, and while we keep the stretching time the same for structure, I'll switch things up and do different stretches, which I'll get into a little bit later in this video. So we'll do that, and then I move on to across the floor, really get their wiggles out, because they're 4 and 5 and 6 and they want to move. So we'll move around cones in a big rectangle around the room. So it'll be like a studio like this, and we'll skip, march, we'll do some fun kicks or butt kicks, whatever you call them. We do little batma kicks, so they're just like point their toes in front of them. And we do this around the whole rectangle, and we will do some hops. So I'll have them hop every time they get to a green spot. In our studio, our green spots are, I don't know if you can see it, but our green spots are our placements. And then I'll have them spin on all the green spots. We'll do airplane, and we spin our airplane, and then we will do maybe a few other like bunny hops or different things back to our spots, and then we'll move on to ballet. So at our studio, we do Shiketti method for ballet time. And so usually I'll always do plies and tendus, and then we will add on from there. We'll either do grand battements, raise, we'll talk about releve, and then we do airbus, spring points with point and flexed feet, so our heels. And then we also do sautés, just in first position, and port de bras. So each time we'll probably do about 5 of those, with pliés and tendus always being the first 2. The kids do pretty good with that, but during that section they like to kind of obviously mess around because it's slower and it's like classical music. But typically, if you keep things moving very quickly and you move from activity quickly, there's not room for running around the room or hanging on the bars like we all know that they do. So I also use classical music. I'd like to add this in our stretch time. So whether it's classical or piano music, I like to do that because across the floor I'll play some Disney music or just some fun music that they're used to. So that is my third tip, is keeping the structure of class and keeping things moving quickly. My fourth tip is using music appropriately. So like I just kind of touched on, Disney music is really fun for them. They recognize it, they like it, they love it. So I use that kind of stuff, but then I also, in the same way, try to introduce them to classical music and typical ballet music, because eventually they will have to handle being in like a pre-ballet class or beginner's ballet class where it's all classical music, or 90%. So that would be my fourth tip. My fifth tip is to constantly talk to these kids. So I like to really repeat the terms. So terminology is so big for these kids. So we'll like say plie, plie, plie all the time. I mean, we're doing our plies, we say plie. Keeping things very vocal at this class is really important. So we're repeating plie, we're repeating tendu, releve. They should know all these terms. Obviously they won't know some big terms like soda basque, but that's okay, that will come. So repeating terms, and just I'm talking throughout class all the time. Point your toes, lift your arms, stretch, that kind of thing. So especially during ballet time, it's important for them to be hearing phrases like show me your diamond, or however you would refer to what they're doing. So that's my fifth tip. My sixth tip would be to be very visual. So they're little visual learners, and I am also, so I kind of can relate. And so when we're doing plies, I like to say like, find your diamond, what color is your diamond? They like to shout out a color, and it's usually rainbow right now. So in the same way, when we're going to second position, you want to maybe say like, show me your house, what color is your house? Just keeping that interaction with them is really, really important because they're just so small. And another visual I give them is when we're in first position, I have them bring their toes out and make their toes smile. So that's usually kind of a good visual for them, and they can catch on to that one pretty quickly. A few other visuals are maybe where their foot's in the mud and they're stretching it forward and they have to slide it. This teaches them kind of how to do their tendus a little bit better. And then with releve, a good one is like elevator up, elevator down. They get to say that as we go up and down. It's kind of cute. So that is I think that's my sixth tip, is being very visual. So now onto my seventh tip. My seventh tip is to just be very positive in these classes. So I know that sometimes these kids are crazy, or they come in and they're just wound up with energy, but if you're really positive, it can be pretty fun class, and they feed off of your own energy. So that's kind of a quick tip, but it's important. My eighth tip is offering a line leader. So the kids love line leaders. They are always asking when they're line leader. So I have a list, and then we cross off names, and they get to be the line leader for everything. And then they get to pick like the color of the scarf. If we do a scarf for that day, they get to do that. So that's my eighth tip. My ninth tip is to do a lot of repetition. So they need repetition, not to where it's boring, but they just need repetition and repetition. Whether it's a recital dance that you're doing, or just plies in general, or your warm-up, they need repetition. So making sure you have plenty of time to learn everything they're learning is important. So if you're learning a recital piece, you have to give them enough time to repeat. It really helps them learn. And then I believe I'm on my 10th tip. Sorry, I'm losing track. My 10th tip is to just add some random fun elements into class. So we kind of touched on this earlier, but as much as structure is important, it's really good to switch things up. So like I said, I switch things up at the end when we're doing like these different activities. And then also I just kind of throw some fun stuff at them. I have a hands clap video and our dance that we do, and everyone loves the hands clap song. So we just do that. It's a little combo I made and to that song, and we perform it once in a while, and it's just really fun and they enjoy it. Another fun thing that I've switched up is we will do around the cones like the Incredible song, like the opener, and then we'll pull out our cape and we'll lift it and we'll, you know, kind of zoom around the room, and then we'll be like Wonder Woman or Captain America if you have some boys in your class, and we'll do all kinds of fun stuff like that. And I've noticed that the kids really like doing something new. They get bored with even the fun activities. So switching things up is really, really important. So now let me just quickly touch on some stretches for these little ones. So I'll back up just a bit. So I like to do animal stretches a lot. So we will do butterfly, or where are we going? Then we'll do dolphin or shark, or maybe this is their mermaid tail, and we'll reach forward, we'll swim, and then we'll go into second position, and we will do crocodile chops on the right, on the left, and reach, and a big alligator splash in the middle. So these are just some animal stretches you can do, and they're all like kids yoga, so that's really good. We do our cat and cow, obviously, and then you can come and bend their knees into frog. We'll jump a couple times. This one's a big favorite. Move into downward dog, and then swan for upward dog. Stretch it out, and then we'll do giraffe, where we stand up and do forward fold. So big thing with animal stretches is they do love to perform those, and they like to be vocal, so they like to make a lot of noise, which is great, and they'll make the sounds that the animals make. So that's kind of a fun way you can get their interaction while we're stretching. Another thing that I do, so I switch up stretching, is like transportation. So like if we're in butterfly, we are just flying. So this one's airplane, and then we fly forward, come back, that kind of thing. You can kind of use your imagination on how to do this. And then in pike position, I do motorcycle. So we rev our engines, and this gets them really excited. And then we reach forward, we move out, and we drive our car to the right, to the left. That's really fun for them also. Then we bring our legs in for boat. So we row our boat, and then we'll come into this bent position, and then we'll do like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll jump, lift off for a rocket. That one's a really fun one. And then we'll do some standing transportation style stretches. So I'm just kind of showing you these because I use them and they're fun for the kids, but you can really use your imagination to do anything. A really good resource is Cosmic Yoga, or Cosmic Kids Yoga. It's really fun, and it kind of shows different elements of how you can teach stretching. So just now I was doing like the same stretches, but we have like a theme in our stretches, and it just kind of switches things up. Another one you can do is to plant a flower or an apple tree or something fun, and you put the seed in front of you and you stretch forward. You give it some sun, rain, thunder, lightning, that kind of thing. So we'll do this in all the different positions too. We'll give it some rain, some thunder, sun, stand up. We'll do like thunder and jump up for lightning. Anything that is kind of related to plants. So that is kind of everything I have today for some tips for preschool and kindergarten dance classes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for other dance videos on anything and everything dance. Thanks so much for stopping by.